Howdy y'all, it's Twin Oaks TV here, back with another 5 things that we learned from Sporting Kansas City to Austin FC 1. Now this one's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be doing this off the top of my head. I just finished watching the game and taking it all in. It's a very disappointing night for everyone who is a Verdi out there. And it's just, it doesn't feel good. A lot of people in our club, in our city, are new to this sport or have been waiting to finally cheer for a team of their own. And with those highs also come the lows. I just want to give everybody a reminder, first and foremost, to not abuse our players on social media. Constructive criticism or analysis or anything of that manner, of course, is valid, as it's also what I'm doing here. But actual target harassment or insults, anything of that disgusting nature, please do not engage in it. That being said, let's get started. We start with box number 1, and this is going to be what everyone expects to see, a red box for our captain, Alex Ring. Now, it should be obvious why Alex Ring gets a red box. He got a 2 yellow after pushing his luck the entire game. He got a very stern warning by Ted Uncle after his foul on Gianluca Busio, and he decided to keep playing reckless. A pass comes into the midfield that Alex Ring tries to intercept. He doesn't catch any of the ball. Tries to buy some time, but Ted Uncle has a second yellow ready, gives him a red. This is disastrous. We cannot have one of our 2 most important players, I would say, Alex Ring, making those kinds of mistakes. And it's uncharacteristic. I think this is the first red card that Alex Ring has gotten in his life. So definitely a lapse in concentration, poor, just unintelligent decision making from Alex after having such a good game, particularly in the first half. It is an unfortunate turn of events, a red box that is well deserved for a red card, but this is part of football. You live and you learn. We move on. Second, credit where credit is due. We have Mr. President for a Verdi box and man of the match, Brad Stuver, our wall. Brad Stuver is absolutely phenomenal, and if it wasn't for Brad Stuver, we have not held onto a 1-0 lead for so long in this game. He really showed why he is a #1 starting goalkeeper with really good distribution, incredible reflexes, great saves. Unfortunately, when you play a man down, when you park the bus, you're gonna get showered with a lot of shots. Well, actually, not a lot of shots, because despite having an advantage of 1 man for an entire half, SKC only managed 8 shots on target compared to our 6. So SKC, not the greatest performance. But Brad Stuver was definitely part of keeping that as close and tight as possible up until the very, very end, where it just slipped away from us. Brad Stuver, phenomenal performance, Mr. President. Unfortunately, we didn't keep the clean sheet, we didn't win, but great nonetheless. Our third box is going to be another red box, and this one is going to be for our right flank. 2 different players that I think underperformed massively in Rodney Redis and Nick Lima. Rodney just has not been the same player that he was prior to his injury. He came into the preseason being with the potential to end up as our top scorer and playing very, very well. He picked up a little knock, he got arrested for a week. No, he didn't get arrested, he actually played against LAFC, but he hasn't been looking that sharp ever since. Honestly, he just played like an amateur out there today. Like I said earlier, it was that little missed pass that should have been easy. He kept going with Toto, with Pochettino back and forth, when he could have just carried the ball instead of passing it down the same line and missing the pass, a simple pass on the ground that eventually led to the turnover, which forced Ring into a bad tackle. And, Ring got the red card, blah, 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 butterfly, whatever. Dominoes fall. The second part of this red box goes out to Nick Lima, who has been very underwhelming so far. Nick Lima was one of the most exciting signings we made, paying, I think, $500,000 in GAM, general allocation money for him. He is one of the most experienced defenders we have, especially in MLS, and he's supposed to be a threat going forward, while being solid defensively. Well, SKC exposed our right flank defensively the entire game. Every single cross that came in and threaded our box in the first half, maybe not every single one, but the vast majority of them, you get what I mean, came through that right wing spot. And it was often Lima that was either playing too far centrally into the middle, trying to build up, and I guess I didn't see the results of it personally. Maybe I missed them. Sorry for the Discord. That's my Discord, not yours. So he might have been trying to play centrally to help in the build-up, since we didn't have Husen to help with that. We had Gallagher. he would have to run back to go for his marker and would usually get beat on the duel, and the opposing SKC player, whether it was Alan Polito or I don't know the name of the other guy, sorry, but they'd either get a shot or a cross or a pass or something that threatened the box. Now, obviously they didn't score in the first half. We didn't concede a goal off of these mistakes. If Nick Lima is going to be this liable defensively and we're going to be exposed on that right wing, you want him to be more proficient in the offense, which so far has not been the case. Jon Gallagher has been the main source of our offense. That combination between Gallagher and Cecilio looked very solid. By the way, that first half, Cecilio was playing out of his mind. He had a few mistakes on turnovers, but damn, he wanted to come out to play. I feel sad because I was so excited in this first half for him. He was doing great, in my opinion. Moving on to point number 4, and this is going to be another Verdi box for Mr. Jon Gallagher and Mr. Jared Stroud. Gallagher earned his starting spot on the 9 after some very good performances despite not scoring, and finally got his first goal off of a freaking absolutely beautiful peach of a ball by Jared Stroud. Such high quality, and then despite a poor first touch by Gallagher, he still manages to slip it past the goalkeeper with not a lot of strength. It was a very well placed ball in a very hard angle because it was in the near post of the goalkeeper. It's hard to score. Not much I can say too much on this green box besides Stroud is awesome, man, to quote Josh Wolff. He had an incredible work rate, certainly made up for a lot of Lima's mistakes, and his crosses were absolutely phenomenal. Gallagher, of course, really good at stretching that back line even further. The one caveat to this is that because we don't have a Danny Huijsen helping our midfield build up, we played stretched out the entire match. Obviously up until Ring was sent off and we had to park the bus with like 11 people in the box, more or less. But without that, without Huijsen's build up and Huijsen's central play, we lose a lot of our midfield proficiency. I don't know if this is down to tactics, down to form, or down to how Wolff wants to play. Very dependent on our wings, very dependent on runs, and it looked good. I'm not gonna say it looked bad. I'm just saying it's one of those things that might hinder us from playing through the midfield where otherwise we wouldn't be able to beat teams in the midfield instead of trying to play around them. And on that point, we move on to point number 5, and that being, where is our midfield prowess? This is a yellow box for our seemingly flaccid midfield. Now I want to say the positives first. We had a pretty good game in the midfield. Tomás Pochettino was absolutely phenomenal. He had an incredible shot that would have, if that shot by Pochettino went in, that would have been a Puskás contender. It was such a well-placed ball, and it really elucidates those moments of magic that Pochettino can have, that Toto is magic, you know? It's unfortunate that our midfield was not used enough offensively. Pochettino, Fagundes, and Ring had a ton of defensive duties. That being said, Fagundes did not have a good game. I thought it was his worst game so far. It wasn't absolutely terrible. I think it was serviceable, but he didn't have the moments of brilliance that we normally see from Fagundes, and he certainly didn't make those overlapping runs. And again, when you don't have Huijsen to help you build up, that's what happens. The second point as to why this box is a yellow for a warning is, where is our depth? Let's assume that Wolff did the right thing and subbed off Ring instead of letting him get another bad tackle for a red. Sebastian Berhalter has a lot of promise and a lot of potential, but I don't think he's ready to fill those shoes. Our depth is a little lacking in that department. Segura is still out recovering from his injury. When the proverbial shit hits the fan, what do you do in that midfield? And if you are going to be so reliant on that 9 dropping back to build up, then what do you do when your most informed striker doesn't play as centrally in Gallagher? A lot of questions to ask here for Wolff and see how he adapts the tactics. Now let's head on to the coach's rating. Those were the 5 things we learned, and to rate the coach's performance, Josh Wolff, I give him a 6 out of 10. The tactics weren't bad. We came in with all cylinders firing. We really showed that we had a cohesive unit and that we played the way we want to play. We were getting so much praise in social media from outlets in Spanish and English, all this, recognizing that Austin FC was certainly a team to behold. But Wolff's personnel management and adaptation after the Ring red card were lackluster. Obviously, Wolff went for the conservative approach, and I don't blame him. I think that was a smart thing to do. But his personnel management should have come a lot earlier. Alex Ring went out there looking like he wanted to bully the enemy team. They wanted to bully SKC. Wolff should have recognized and said, hey, Alex is losing his mind a little bit. He's gotten so many warnings. He's already on a yellow. We have a game against the Galaxy coming up. We can't afford to lose him. Switch him off. So this is the reason why I give Wolff a much lower score than I think he otherwise deserved, because those subs should have come in a lot earlier. He should have recognized that with the ring, and he should have saved his players. This is going to be a long season, and we have to manage our personnel. We're not always going to be able to play 100% of the players we want to play. We got to adapt. In conclusion, Verdi, keep your head up. If you're a fan of Austin FC, which you probably are if you're watching my video, keep your head up. If you're a fan of Sporting Kansas City and you've been here this far, then congratulations on the win. You guys, I'm not going to say you deserve the win, but we certainly deserve the loss. That being said, I thought this was a pretty good game for us in terms of a learning experience. I don't think we played bad. I think we had a pretty good tactical showing, a lot of moments of brilliance, especially individual brilliance. Cecilio was feeling saucy. He had a really, really nice shot from outside the box that I really enjoyed. Pochettino had some really bright moments as well. You could see he wanted to score. And it's what you want to see from the team. Players want to step up. That's what you want to see from Austin FC. They not only want to step up, but they also play together very well. And we're building that chemistry, and they can only get better. LA Galaxy is up next. I'll see you then. Peace.